Hey everyone, so today we're going to talk about how to add the proper Pinterest text for your the pinnable image on your Christian blog. So this is like actually a really big deal that you're optimizing the images that you put on your website so that they are useful to you once they leave your website, meaning once someone actually pins them to their own Pinterest profile. And so let's hop over here. And so I'm just going to kind of show you really quick what I mean by this. So every image that you upload to a blog post, whether it's the one that you intend to be the pinnable image, or if you just add other images of just random things, to make the blog post pretty, every single image needs to be optimized so that if someone pins it, that it continues working for you after it leaves your site. And so you can see here, we just have the one pinnable image on this one. But also, if you've added images like in your sidebar, like we have these here, these would actually show up as well when someone hits that pin it button. Basically, it's going to draw every image off of your site and make it an option for your reader to pin. And so you want to make sure that they pin the best one, as far as like, it's great that they pin it, but once it's pinned to their profile, it can either work for you and continue getting more traction and sending traffic to your site, or it can literally just die on their board. And so whether I use this hover save button or if I use the social share button, whichever one. And so you see the only image that comes up really is this one. Now there's nothing you can do to get rid of this. This is actually drawn from our About Me widget. And so you can't unpin this one. So, but if you notice here, this has a really good description. I'm sure we all have heard this and we ponder on how we can actually love like God. Showing God's love isn't just a one-time thing. Hashtag love, God's love. So relevant hashtags, we've already talked about the importance of using hashtags, relevant hashtags. Don't go hashtag crazy. These hashtags should be like the most common thing somebody might search, but also think in terms of possible board titles that you have, like titles for your boards, so that when you save this image, you're going to save it to a relevant board that possibly matches one of the actual hashtags that you have on here. And so let me show you. So, now this is just a post that I found. I don't know this person. They're not a member of any of the groups that I'm in. I just came across it on Pinterest one day and thought it was really pretty. And so we're going to use our Pinterest button. So you see here when the pin button is pushed or clicked, all these images show up. So these are all images she has somewhere on her website. And as you can see, there's not really a description. Basically, what happens if you don't do the proper Pinterest text, whatever you've entered into that alt text box is what will populate here. And normally that's like the title that you've given the blog post, or it may be a very specific keyword that you've used. Regardless, it's not optimized to help you on Pinterest. Another thing, oftentimes people will save the randomest posts or pins. Like I had one that I was on the other day and they were telling me that they just saved this, like it's a cute picture, and it was a mommy and me board that it was saved to. I have a habit of saving pictures of Dobermans on my other Pinterest account, and I know they don't lead to blog posts or anything. I just like Dobermans. I have several, and so I would save that to a board just so I can look at cute pictures of dogs, right? That's doing, it's not going to go anywhere. Chances are no one else is going to repin it or whatever. The point is, whatever tool you put here, and so by having a pinnable image, that's literally a tool for your readers to continue helping you get traffic to your site. You need to make sure that is the best tool possible. So first of all, you don't want them to have these other options, right? And I'm going to show you how to make these not show up. But for the option that you do give them, it is so important that it is optimized for Pinterest. Optimized for Pinterest means, of course, it's a good pin. But the description, a full description, like actual complete sentences that give information about where this pin leads. Like this isn't just a picture. This pin leads to something that has content. And then of course your hashtag. So this is an optimized pin for Pinterest that will continue working for you once it leaves your site. Okay, so how do we do that? So I'm going to go over two ways. One is the manual way. Now, I know not everyone can afford to invest in plugins and things like that, and I totally understand that. I will say that the plugin we will talk about, everyone who's followed Kingdom Bloggers for any amount of time knows that we do not push, hey, you need to buy this tool, you need to buy that tool. Two things we push: you need good hosting and you need tasty pins. We're going to talk about tasty pins in a minute. But for those who are just not quite ready to invest yet, I'm going to show you the manual way to do this. And so here's that post we were just looking at, right? So you see it here. So I am going to just come down here because I'm not actually going to save these changes we're going to make. So let's just upload a picture, and I'm not going to use one that I've already used because they've already been entered. Let's go over here. Well, let's just pull a graphic. So when you add an image, right, you have this stuff over here. Without the plugin, you won't have this box right here, Pinterest tag. This only happens when you use the plugin. So for the rest of you, you'll have the title, caption, repin ID, you'll have the alt text and description. And so normally people will post, they'll, make a good title, whatever the title is, right? Which your title should have your SEO keyword in it. And normally they would just copy this into the alt text. Again, by default, Pinterest will pull the description that whatever's in here is what gets pulled and entered into this, like displays right here. Alt text, that box, the purpose of it is to for blind reader software. So a blind person is having a book read to them. And so as the software is reading through the text and it comes upon an image, the alt text enables it to quote unquote read the image. And so normally, like a good alt text for this image here, let's say, would be mother holding daughter or mother holding baby girl, something like that, so that the reader is telling the blind person this is an image of a mother holding the baby, right? For the purpose of blogs, though, usually you'll want to go with your alt text, and this is assuming you're not using like a million pictures in your post, because then that would kind of be annoying to the blind person to hear that same thing over and over again. So put your post title or your SEO keyword phrase in the alt text. And then you'll don't fill in the caption. You can just put your full description here. It does not draw this, however. And so we can put, what do you know? We're just putting this in here for show. Hashtags don't matter in this box. They don't get pulled. Make sure your sizing is right, whatever. Now, again, if you don't have tasty pins, you won't have this disable pinning. So I'm just letting you know that, so you're like, why does hers look different than mine? You won't have this and you won't have this. All right, so let's enter the image, right? Let's actually make it a little smaller. Okay, so now how do I, like, okay, now let's assume this is the image that we've made. I know that it's a vertical, or I'm sorry, a horizontal. Let's say this was actually one that we want to be our pinnable image that has the Pinterest, the title of the blog post. It's vertical. It's basically like this, right? It's a good image for Pinterest. You need the title on it. I'm going to have it branded with your website and all that. Let's just say, for the sake of saying, that that's what this image is. So this is the image we want our reader to pin. So you can come here. So you click on it, click over to your text, and this will be highlighted. So this is actually the code for that image, right? So now you're going to add some code. So I'm going to pull this up here. And this is why I say it is just so much easier to use the plugin. So this was our image right here. So this is a different post that I had pulled from, but you're going to go all the way to the end of it, which is the width and height, right? So the quotation mark after the number, and you'll notice there's a space here. So the quotation mark space backslash, right? So you're going to go right there to right after the quotation mark. And you can see here, so this is one that has the text entered. So after that line height border, the last bit of it, there's a space. And then there's this snippet called data pin description and data pin URL. So I am going to copy it from here. And we're going to erase that. So remember, make sure you keep the space there. So now there's a space, data pin description. And so in these quotes right here is where, I'm sorry, right here, you would enter your full description. If you had 2 sentences, more of the description, hashtag hello, hashtag faith, hashtag, right? Quotation mark. So the pin description is everything that you've put between these 2 quotation marks. Now, you can also add this data pin URL. If you've ever used Tailwind Tribes and you've seen pins that when you tried to schedule them, they didn't have a URL assigned to them. This just ensures that it assigns this picture to this URL. So again, it's make a space, data pin URL equals quotation marks, and then the full URL for this post. So when you're first like drafting the post, you actually will have to publish the post, then go back and add this because that URL doesn't work yet, right? Okay, and so when you go back over to the picture doesn't look any different. So now we preview these changes. And now I'm using Tasty Pen, so this may not pull the image up. Yeah, hold on 1 second here. Let me unclick that box. Oh, let me see if it works. So there's the image, and you see all these other ones that showed up as well. So now you see we made that full description with the hashtags, and that is what is showing up for this particular image. Now, let me go back and show you. Sorry. Go back to the text one. So now let's remove that piece that we and if you go back, preview the change. So now it has the original, what does the Bible say about loving like God? That's the title. So that's what it's pulling. And so that is not optimized for Pinterest. So you see how adding that line of script, which is just the data pin description with the hashtags, and I will, this actual formula here will be in the written part, like underneath the video, down in the video information. So you can just copy it and then paste it somewhere like I have here on this notepad. I don't use this because I do use the plugin. It makes it so much easier. But for those of you who aren't ready to invest in the plugin yet, you'll have it handy. Just plop it in there and then change the text to what you want it to say. Okay, so now let's take this out. All right. So now let's talk about this. So you have all these images showing up, right? We don't want those. So let's talk about Tasty Pens. So Tasty Pens is a plugin. It's $29 a year. So honestly, for the amount you pay for it, the value that you get from it is well worth it. If you don't invest in any other like bells and whistles for your site, this is the one plugin that we do recommend because it does provide so much value in helping you get more traction on your pins on Pinterest. And that's the ultimate goal. The more traction your pins on Pinterest get, the more times it's shown in the algorithm, in the feeds, the more traffic you're going to get to your site. And that is your ultimate goal. So when you install the plugin, any image that you add to your site or to a blog post, even for your featured image, right? Every image that you add, this thing comes up like it would normally, but let me minimize this so I can get the full. It now has this Pinterest text option here. Now, it's not going to do it for the featured image, but you can see it here. Like if we add this image, which was that one. So you fill everything out, and then the text that you want to display when someone pins it, like what we've been talking about, you just simply put it right here, hashtags and all, the entire thing, right? Then if you're adding multiple images to a blog post, then if it's not the one you want pinned, like if it's just like say a picture, a pretty picture, a picture that has some scripture on it, it's not the one that you want pinned. Like it's literally one of these other ones that you've just added, okay? You can click this disable pinning, then it will not be available. Like when someone hits the pin it button, that image will not come up. So I'm going to close this because we don't need it twice. And let me show you, I've actually got a few posts where we've added that. I think it might be this one. Yeah, so you see here, let's open this one up in a new window. We have our pinnable image, and then there's all these, and we added these other ones just for color, really, to break up the text, just some of the scripture. Now, when you hit my pin it button here, once it stops loading, you see all the way down, we have multiple images. You hit the pin it button. Only that pinnable image that is fully optimized is the one that is provided, right? Now, you can also, I'm going to show you one more thing. Let's go to this one. So with Tasty Pens, so let's say you publish the post today, and then, or let's say you're going back to optimize older posts, right? Maybe when you first got started, you weren't that great at making these pinnable images, or you're simply trying to refresh the content. So with Tasty Pens, you can actually hide pins. And this is also an option for those of you who don't necessarily want this big image showing up physically on the post, like maybe you're trying to be very minimalistic and maybe you have a smaller image that's like at the head, or it's a more personal lifestyle image or something like that. You still want to make sure the image you provide your reader is one that's worthy of being pinned. And so in that sense, you can hide images in the background using Tasty Pens. And so with Tasty Pens, at the very end down here where you write your posts and stuff, you can add these images. So this was the original one, and then now I've gone back and added additional images. Let me close this. And so I'm going to open this one. and you will see the only images they have are the ones that we've put in with Tasty Pins. It's just taking a minute to load here. So now the two that I've hidden, so this one is physically on the site, but I've hidden this one. So it's only an option when they hit the pin it button. And so again, this could be either you just don't want the big images on your blog. You still need to give them a good one to pin, or say you published this a year ago or 6 months ago, and now you're wanting to add new content to Pinterest. If you've been keeping up with the updates for Pinterest, they say new content, new content. New content is creating a brand new pinnable image for an older post. So it's not always writing a new post. I mean, yes, that is new content, but revitalizing those older posts with a brand new image. And so instead of switching it out on the actual post, right, like taking this out and putting a new one here, you can simply add it here at the bottom. And then your reader might decide, well, you know what, I really like this one better. But it gives you multiple images to have floating around out there. And it only gives them the option to pin the ones that you've actually put the Pinterest text into. And so with the Tasty Pins, it gives you this section here. And then again, click this little button here so that only the hidden images are the ones that populate so like you see, this did not come up as an option because the pin was disabled. All right, so let's look over here to Tailwind really quick because I want to point something out, how important this is. So this is just one of the tribes I'm in. I'm sure if you're using tribes, you've seen this. So this is alt text. That's not good. Same thing, alt text, alt text. And then sometimes when you are doing, like, if you bulk schedule with Tailwind, like say from Pinterest, let me see if I can do that here. Some of them will come up without a URL. I'm not actually going to pin these, I'm just showing you. So by adding that pin description, pin URL, this helps ensure, so you see this one, no source URL, no source URL. It ensures that the actual URL you want this pin to go to populates, because honestly, if you're trying to schedule stuff and it doesn't have source URL, you're just going to delete it, right? So if your pin showed up in a feed that way, it's going to go nowhere. Like it's pointless for it to have ever been saved in the first place. The whole goal is for you to get more traffic to your site. All right, let me get rid of these because we don't need them. Okay, so again, you only want the pinnable image that is optimized. That is the pinnable image, not these little things. You don't want these showing up. And so with Tasty Pins, it enables you to make all that happen with just a click of a button. So again, for those of you who just aren't quite ready, the manual way is there. I'm going to put that snippet of code right here, this thing, in the video description. But I will also include a link to our referral link for Tasty Pins. Again, it's only $29. You pay it every year. But this helps you optimize every single image and make sure that the one that your readers have as an option is the one that's going to serve you as the blogger. Because again, once those pins land on their profile, they can die or they can go forward and prosper, meaning send more traffic to you. You will never get a viral pin if it's not optimized correctly. So I hope this was helpful. I know it went kind of fast, so you may need to kind of go back through it. But again, this little snippet of code, you simply add right after the last number, so the width, height, and then that quotation mark, skip a space, and then you just paste this in there and then change your description with hashtags right here, and then go back and fill in the actual URL for this post once you've published it. And so that is all. If you have any questions, we'd love to hear comments, whatever. You can comment here on the video or send us a message. Hop on over to our website. We have a lot more Christian blogging tips, pretty much anything and everything you need to know to grow your Christian blog ministry. And we would love to have you join us over there so that we can get your content to page 1 on Google so that we can reach more people for the kingdom. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.